Hi, welcome to Carnival Africa. My name is Innocent. Today, we are having a crash course on strange dietary facts. This is a paradigm shift of the red meat so-called facts that we thought we knew. All disease begins in the gut was stated by Hippocrates, the father of medicine. Same way, remission of disease has to start from the gut. For decades, plants have been celebrated as the heroes of nutrition. What if I told you that plants are the main problem? One of the chief problems is the macronutrient called carbohydrate, also known as starch, sugar, glucose, and so on. It comes from foods such as grains. Grains include maize, wheat, barley, oats, rice. It comes from legumes, which are actually 60% starch, and legumes include beans, soy, peas, ground nuts. It includes matoke, I'll call them bananas. It includes sweet potatoes, yams, which are actually not sweet, cassava, which is not sweet, Irish potatoes, which is not sweet, and other starchy food. Even processed foods such as wheat products, sodas, table sugar will increase your blood glucose, and others such as fruits, fruit juices, and honey will increase fructose, which causes fatty liver disease and high uric acid production. When you eat excess carbohydrates, they convert to glucose in the blood. Since excess glucose is glycating, or say has a frying effect or a roasting effect to each of every cell in the body, the master hormone insulin is released to remove excess glucose from the blood. Insulin is a chemical of life, but it must be at a basal level to work well. Too much insulin in circulation over a long time causes diseases through assorted mechanisms. We know that leafy greens, fruits, honey, carbohydrates, legumes, grains, seed oils, and alcohol, which is also derived from plants, are destructive to the human gut. Plants should be for medicinal purposes, food for animals and birds, for the ecosystem and the like, but not for human consumption. What if I told you that red meat is the cure that patients are looking for? What if I told you that cholesterol is not the problem, but rather it's a molecule of life? Seed oils, or as we call them vegetable oil, are very high in omega-6. Yet they are praised for lowering of the so-called bad cholesterol. We know for a fact that cholesterol is a molecule of life. The introduction of seed oils in the early 1900s reduced the amount of cholesterol in the body, but came with the increase of death due to heart diseases. Seed oils are overwhelmingly distressing to the human metabolism, and no human being should be introducing them into their own gut. Seed oils cause systemic inflammation and play a big part in the development of cardiovascular disease. Did you know that if one stops taking seed oils, it will take over 3 years for these oils to flush out of the body? If you didn't know, now you know. What if I told you that genes are not the problem, but rather the opportunistic member? There is no such a thing as bad genes. Genes are a gift. Genes only make each one of us unique from each other. Genes will get angry when people eat the wrong foods. Once the body is fed on the improper human diet, different people may experience different health conditions, even from the same cause, depending on their genetic makeup. It is sad to know that the body will get deficient in nutrients even when one is eating the so-called healthy foods such as grains, legumes, vegetables, fruits on a daily basis. This is because most of the nutrients in these plants are not bioavailable to the body. For example, vitamin B12 can only be got from animal products and from supplements, but not from any fresh foods. Without vitamin B12, your brain will start shrinking. Plus, you will suffer from very many other neurodegenerative conditions. The human body is engineered to live for about 120 years without disease, provided one is eating the proper human diet. Although red meat has been demonized as the evil that paves way for disease, we now know for a fact that red meat is non-inflammatory and rather the only 100% digestible, bioavailable, nutrient-dense known to man. It is true that eating red meat will increase uric acid production in the body, but ketone bodies produced under ketogenic diets will equally wipe away the would-be effects of uric acid. Please note that fructose metabolism, which comes as a result of metabolism of fruits and fruit juices, produces way more astronomical levels of fructose compared to red meat. We were told that animal fat will make you fat, clog your arteries, and cause heart disease. We now know that animal fat is the best fat known to bring optimal health to human beings. The brain is mostly fat. The myelin sheath of the nervous system is fat. The bone marrow is fat. All hormones are fat. The shiningness of the skin is fat. The best fuel for the heart is fatty acids, which come from fat. The best unstoppable fuel for the brain, even when the excess glucose in the blood is unable to cross into the brain cells in conditions such as Alzheimer's, is ketones, which are made from fat. Ketones are anti-inflammatory, anti-epileptic, they facilitate autophagy, they are anti-cancer, and they work as signaling molecules. Call it some hormone of sorts. In fact, the body is very hungry for fat more than any other thing. If you want ketones in your body, you don't really have to spend any money to get them. One of the ways to get them is to stop or reduce eating carbohydrates to below 100 grams per day. Then eat meat and animal fat. Within 2 days or so, you will be in ketosis. Provided you are on a ketogenic diet, eating animal fat will not make you fat. The key is you must be on zero carb or a daily intake of 100 grams of carbs or less. Eating any kind of fat together with the carbs is not good for your health, since the high insulin will not allow the body to burn it for energy, but be stored instead, making the whole situation worse. Nevertheless, we know what makes people fat, and that is eating excess carbohydrates. The more carbs one eats, the more the measure of insulin that is made. High insulin in the blood over a long time causes problems due to the body cells resisting the instructions of insulin. This is called insulin resistance. After this, it means excess glucose will linger in the blood and will destroy cells that it gets in contact with. Note that as blood goes to every part of the body, so does the glucose. This is the epitome of metabolic havoc and the start of chronic disease. Insulin is the master hormone. Every cell in the body has an insulin receptor and bows to the insulinic commands, except in insulin resistance. When insulin is high, of course, it means also glucose is high. Insulin limits the body to glucose burning and puts the body in fat storage mode. When insulin is low, and of course it means then glucose is low, the body has no option but to burn fat for energy. The body cannot manage to stop burning fat when insulin is low. This means that removing carbs from the diet will reduce the amount of insulin in the blood and subsequent burning of stored fat. Also, other cells, tissues, and hormones and physiological processes which were previously blocked by hyperinsulinemia or high insulin in the blood will start functioning normally. This will lead to damaged cells, tissues, and organs healing and repairing themselves, provided they have the right raw materials. Since all disease begins in the gut, if we stop putting inflammatory foods, and that's plants, in our gut, and instead put the more beneficial food, which is red meat and other animal products, then the body will self-detox, heal, and repair itself, and disease will go, even without medication. Removing carbohydrates will lead to removal of excess glucose, since the body can make all the glucose it needs from other sources other than carbohydrates. And removing other plants will remove the harmful plant chemicals, the anti-nutrients, fructose, etc., thus freeing the body and arming it to fight and defend itself. This shows that the best medicine is the proper human diet. That is, the red meat and the fat which comes with it. Now here there's a question. How come that these facts are not emphasized by the doctors? Maybe they don't know them. After all, medical training has extremely less to do with the nutrition. Or maybe they have not yet known how to make good profit out of prescribing the ketogenic diets. Please note that doctors have well studied and understand the body on a carbohydrate-rich diet framework. Under ketogenic diets, the body physiology changes and more needs to be studied. In conclusion, the patients and not doctors have been cracking this code that elimination of plants from their diet and eating carnivore diets put their own health chronic conditions into remission. The doctors who are discerning and have a conscience are choosing to study this discovery from their patients and are incorporating this into their practice. All sorts of chronic conditions such as hypertension, type 2 diabetes, erectile dysfunction, obesity, polycystic ovarian syndrome, some cancers, hormonal imbalance, arthritis, kidney disease, asthma, psoriasis, candida infections, and many more have gone into remission. On the other side, what all other doctors do is medicate. They maintain their patients in a state of disease, telling them that their chronic conditions is here to stay. It shouldn't be this way. Medicines should only be for acute or short-time use. Please note that if you have a condition such as type 2 diabetes, hypertension, or any other condition where you take regular medication, whereas you don't necessarily need their permission to start a ketogenic diet, you need to regularly see your doctor for dosage adjustments. This is because once you start ketogenic diets, you will find a need to keep lowering your dosage on a regular basis till you no longer need to take the meds. For the first time in thousands of years, with carnivore, people have a chance. People have control on what happens to their health. In order to enjoy a healthy long life, control carbs, prioritize proteins, and don't fear the fat which comes with the proteins, and that is the animal fat. Finally, whoever wishes to make more lab investigations about this, maybe you're a doctor, you're not sure of what I'm talking about, I'm here. Feel free to contact me. I'm happy to offer samples and specimens for you to run whichever test you feel like running. Or for that matter, also other people who are running these diets, they are free to give samples. But because we know that what we are doing works, we know without a doubt, we have tested it, and we know that ketogenic diets work. Ketogenic diets save lives. Thank you so much for your time.